If you're a front-end developer working on Adobe Experience Manager, you know the primary bottleneck. You shouldn't have to boot up a massive, resource-heavy local AEM instance just to test a few simple CSS and JavaScript changes. Today, we are bypassing that completely. We are going to break down the AEM UI.Frontend module. By the end of this tutorial, you will know how to build a custom client library from scratch and compile it directly into the UI.Apps directory, all without touching Java. Before we start building, make sure you have three things ready: a global installation of Node.js, your preferred code editor, and a standard AEM project generated via the Maven archetype. Separating the front-end workflow from the back-end compiler strips away those long wait times. It lets your team write, test, and preview using the native web development tools you already know. Looking at our generated AEM project hierarchy, you'll find the UI.Frontend module nested right here among the core directories. Inside this module, the work is split between two main locations. You write your actual code inside the source folder. Once compiled, the resulting minified CSS and JavaScript files get generated inside the dist folder. Moving those compiled files into the AEM app structure is handled by a specific dependency in our package.json, the AEM ClientLib-generator. This plugin automates the transfer of your final assets from the front-end module directly into the UI.Apps tree. Let's initialize the environment. Open your terminal, navigate directly into the UI.Frontend module, and run npm install to pull down all your local dependencies. With the modules installed, we can run npm start. This boots up a local Webpack development server on port 8080. Immediately, a local live browser window opens displaying your site. Any changes you make to your front-end code will now reflect instantly on this localhost server. You are completely bypassing the slow Java compilation cycle for your visual work. Now that the basic pipeline is running, let's look at how to expand it. We're going to create a brand new custom asset pipeline called ClientLib-www. Step 1 is structuring the source files. Inside your source directory, right next to the default site folder, create a new folder named www. Inside that, set up your basic TypeScript and SCSS files. Writing the files is only half the job. Our Webpack compiler has no idea this new folder exists yet, so we have to explicitly tell it where to look. Open up your webpack.common.js file and locate the main entry object. You'll see the existing configuration mapping the default site. Right beneath that, add our new www path, pointing directly at our new main.ts file. Ensure you add the correct comma after the site line above. A missing comma breaks the JSON structure, failing your build. Webpack is now wired to compile these new files locally. However, AEM requires very specific formatting to read these as a client library. That requires one more step. To get AEM to recognize our work, we need to configure the final translation layer between Webpack and the AEM application. Open the clientlib.config.js file. This controls the generator plugin. You'll see the default ClientLib site block already defined here. Duplicate the block. Change the target name to clientlib.www and the category to practice.www. Next, update the current working directory, or CWD, for JavaScript and CSS. This points the generator to our newly compiled www folder. Save your config, stop the local development server, and run npm run dev in your terminal. This executes a dual action. First, Webpack compiles your raw SCSS and TypeScript into minified assets. Immediately after, the ClientLib-generator physically copies those assets over into your UI.Apps directory. Let's verify our build. If we look inside our local front-end dist folder, we can clearly see the successfully generated www.css and www.js files. The local build worked. Now we need to prove that those files actually crossed over into the strict AEM architecture. We can check this by opening the UI.Apps ClientLibs directory in our IDE or AEM CRXDE Lite interface. And there it is. The ClientLib www node is generated alongside other libraries, populated with CSS and JavaScript subfolders. Your front-end team is now fully empowered to write code, test it instantly, and seamlessly compile modular libraries without ever directly fighting with the core Java application. To see how these client libraries are ultimately loaded onto your AEM pages, click the video on screen now.